Men Behaving Nicely, A Journey to Authenticity. Part 1. The Crisis of Masculinity. Chapter 1. The Definition Dilemma. The weight of the phone felt like a lead brick in Jake Wilson's pocket. It had been buzzing incessantly for the past hour, each vibration sending a tremor of unease through his body. He'd ignored it, hoping against hope that whoever was on the other end would give up. But then the text started, an onslaught of laughing emojis mixed with crude insults. Jake sighed, a bitter taste in his mouth. It was the usual, banter on the group chat with his buddies. They had a way of always zeroing in on any sliver of vulnerability. Today, it was about the incident in the parking lot. He'd seen an older woman struggling to change a tire, and while the suited-up businessmen marched right past her, Jake had stopped to help. It felt like the normal, decent thing to do. The incident had been captured, not by a CCTV camera, but by a phone wielded by a bored onlooker and promptly uploaded to every social media platform for public judgment. The comments went viral, some hailing him #RealMan, others branding him a simpleton desperate for attention. Jake rubbed his temples. Being labeled a nice guy didn't bother him so much. He'd always been the sensitive one, a trait his mom loved and his buddies endlessly mocked. It was more the way they'd linked being nice with being weak, as if a man couldn't be both kind and strong. He was pulled out of his thoughts by a roar of laughter. A group of teenagers clad in school uniforms pushed past him, bumping shoulders in their rush. One turned, grinning. "Hey, it's the tire-changing hero!" Jake flushed. He saw them exchange knowing looks, heard one whisper the term simp before they darted off, leaving echoes of their snickering in the air. A surge of anger mixed with shame rippled through him. He hated that a knot of judgmental teenagers could make him question himself this way. He was 32 for God's sake, a grown man, yet those words had hit a nerve. The thing was, he loved being the go-to guy, the one everyone could rely on. He was the shoulder his sister cried on, the colleague who'd cover a shift without question, the best man at his friend's wedding who'd calmed his pre-ceremony nerves. Yet, this helpful persona didn't exactly fit the tough guy mold his friends seemed to idolize. At work, the jokes continued, a steady flow of teasing punctuated by occasional compliments. His boss, a woman built like a boxer, slapped him on the back. "Wilson, you've got a heart of gold. Shame your dating life doesn't reflect that." Her words hung heavy, especially since she wasn't entirely wrong. His last few relationships had sputtered out because the women either felt he was too accommodating or were unnerved by his willingness to be emotionally open. Jake's apartment echoed with a hollow silence as he walked in, the weight on his chest even heavier. As the light caught the framed photo on the mantel, him grinning with his sister and her kids, he felt a familiar tug, that mix of deep affection and quiet frustration. He was the doting uncle, always there with a goofy story or a piggyback ride. Lately, though, there was this nagging question. Will I ever have that of my own? His phone buzzed again. This time it was Sarah, a flame from a few dates ago. "Saw the video. You're seriously adorable." Followed by a heart eyes emoji. But the compliment, instead of thrilling him, left a strange sting. Adorable? He felt more like a panda at the zoo, poked and prodded for public amusement. He knew he shouldn't care. And honestly, being helpful was just who he was. But a part of him was tired of the constant inner battle with what it meant to be a man. It made him wonder, when did the term nice become an insult? Why did kindness have to be at odds with strength? Why couldn't he just be himself, fully and unapologetically? Chapter 2. The Unyielding Mask. 2 weeks and countless. "You're the man, Wilson," comments later. Any amusement Jake had felt about the viral video had well and truly evaporated. It no longer seemed funny, but like a spotlight he couldn't escape, illuminating those parts of himself he was less comfortable with. Now there was always the undercurrent, the unspoken question of when he'd perform his next act of valor. "So, Wilson, what have you been up to? Rescuing kittens from trees? Parting the Red Sea?" Mark leaned against Jake's cubicle, arms crossed, the usual smirk firmly in place. Jake resisted the urge to roll his eyes and managed a half-hearted smile. His friendship with Mark was a classic case of opposites attract. Jake valued loyalty. Mark thrived on one-upmanship. However, their differences were usually a source of banter, not this weird tension. Just the usual work grind, he replied, trying to keep his tone light. Mark's gaze narrowed. Dude, relax. It's a joke. Unless... He trailed off, the silence loaded. Jake felt his face flush. He knew exactly what Mark was implying, that the video was an isolated incident, that maybe deep down, he wasn't that nice. It was stupid, childish, but it stung. That evening, with his buddies at their usual bar, the simmering annoyance finally bubbled over. The conversation, as always, revolved around sports, women, and general attempts to outdo each other with displays of bravado. "I shut that Karen down today," said Tim, an accountant with surprisingly large biceps. "She was whining about her coffee being too cold." He mimed a high-pitched voice, and the others guffawed. Jake felt the familiar pang of unease. He couldn't relate to their casual dismissal of everyday people, nor to the constant need to prove themselves the dominant force in every interaction. In that moment, he felt more different from them than ever before. "Hey, Jake," Mark jerked his chin toward the entrance. "Looks like your fan club's arrived." A group of women had taken the table next to theirs, their conversation punctuated by laughter and the occasional glance in their direction. Instinctively, Jake wanted to sink into his seat, but then came the familiar surge of pride mixed with shame. He was, after all, something of a local hero. "Well, Mr. Nice Guy," Mark's voice dripped with amusement. "Looks like it's your lucky night." Jake hesitated, torn between the desire to blend in and the deep discomfort that came with playing that role. One of the women, with short, fiery hair and a mischievous grin, met his eye and lifted her glass in a mock salute. He squared his shoulders, a strange mix of adrenaline and defiance spiking his blood. Tonight, he'd be the guy they wanted him to be, full of easy confidence and charm. It would be a performance, a mask, but surely, he'd make it a convincing one. 2 hours and several drinks later, the mask started to crack. The woman with the fiery hair, whose name was Emily, was actually engaging, sharp and funny, interested in more than just his viral moment. Yet the harder he tried to channel the cocky persona, the hollower it felt. As the mask began to slip, something surprising happened. Emily didn't seem to lose interest. In fact, her smile became genuinely warm. "You know," she said quietly, the noise of the bar fading into the background. "You're way more interesting than your reputation." Jake's laughter was rough, a mix of relief and embarrassment. "And what exactly is my reputation?" he asked. She tilted her head, considering. "The nice guy everyone's talking about, which is great," she added hastily. "But I get the feeling there's a lot more to you, parts you maybe don't show the world." In that moment, staring at this woman whose eyes seemed to cut straight through his bravado, Jake faced a choice. He could cling to the mask of the cool guy, the one who fit in with his friends. Or he could take a leap, let the mask fall, and see if anyone was interested in the real him.